So Urdhva Hastasana, next pose. Urdhva means upward facing, Hasta, hands. Urdhva Hastasana, upward facing hands, arms overhead. So the setup initially is the same as Tadasana, so review that as many times as you need. And then we would tend to cue Urdhva Hastasana on an inhale breath. So inhale, extend arms overhead, palms face each other, little fingers rotate in, but that's coming from the externally rotated shoulders, right? So if my shoulders are externally rotated, my shoulder blades are coming down my back, then my little fingers end up being slightly rotated in. So that's a little different from extending arms overhead and then just turning the wrist to bring the fingers to face each other. So having that setup of the open chest, the externally rotated shoulders, ensures that arms come overhead. Now, even though the arms are extending up, fingertips are reaching up, palms are facing each other, I'm still relaxing my shoulders away from my ears. So I'm not pulling my shoulders up into my ears. There's still some integrity here, some space between my ears and my shoulders. I'm reaching up as much as I'm pushing down, breathing here. Now, I want to show you something here. If you have someone in Tadasana that hasn't really been set up, or there might be some rounding of the thoracic spine, which is the spine that runs between the shoulder blades. So over time, the posture has turned into something like this. I might be exaggerating. But if you have shoulders that sit like this, and now I'm trying to do Urdhva Hastasana, arms overhead, my arms pretty much get stuck here. I can try to force them up, but that's as high as they'll go. And even if you cue arms overhead, they really can't get there unless the thoracic spine is evened out and the shoulders have externally rotated. So you may have to work a little bit with that opening before someone can get their arms overhead. So we'll talk more about that, but that's just to say that we can't necessarily fix an Urdhva Hastasana that looks like this by just cueing, get the arms overhead. We have to understand where that's coming from. But let's assume that we've set up a really nice Tadasana. Inhale, extend arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Breathe here, palms facing each other, draw the shoulders down. Now careful not to poke the ribs out. So there can be a little bit of a tendency to do this kind of Olympic skating princess, the whole front of the body opens, but then it happens at the expense of the back, so that things get crunched a little bit. So try to maintain the integrity of the Tadasana posture, even though you're extending arms overhead. So you may well need to cue something like draw the floating ribs in so that they don't start to poke out. So it's really just Tadasana with arms overhead.